Canada deal in the works. Foreign Minister back at in D.C. today negotiating. Senator Bill Cassidy, Republican from Louisiana, is with us now. Senator, you're on the Senate Finance Committee. You have to approve any trade deal. You've seen what we've got going with Mexico. Does that deal pass?
I think the deal does pass. I think Canada needs to come on board. If it's a bilateral deal, it's more complicated. But I do think Canada will be on board because I think the bigger issues were between the U.S. and Mexico. And I think it passes because, frankly, it's worked for our country. Louisiana benefits by, we have a positive balance of trade with Mexico and Canada as one example. And I think many states are like we are.
Essentially, President Trump's hard line is working. Would you say that?
I would say that. And I was in Mexico a couple weeks ago and met with the trade negotiators. They conceded that we should have a periodic reevaluation of the program. And if it is out of kilter one way or the other, to reconsider. They don't want a sunset clause, and I agree with that as well. But they did agree to a reconsideration, and I see there is a reconsideration built in every 6 years now.
Okay, I want to return to pure politics and yesterday's primaries. Ron DeSantis, he won the Republican primary in the governor's race in Florida. He was backed fully by President Trump. Congresswoman Martha McSally won the Republican primary in the Arizona Senate race. She was also backed by President Trump. I put it to you, Mr. Senator, that President Trump came out of yesterday's primaries looking pretty good.
Oh, in a primary, the president has long coattails. And by the way, your point about Florida doing so well financially, and now DeSantis, I'm told, is running against a fellow who is kind of a Bernie Sanders-like.
He is, right.
I think Floridians will have the example of the choice. Do we want someone who's thoroughly invested in using the private market, or those who want to go far to the left? I think it'll be a good choice for the people of Florida.
Florida's a microcosm for the national debate. Trump versus Bernie, Trump versus Trump growth versus redistribution. I think it's all capsuled right there in Florida in November.
I agree. And if you will, Florida receives, when somebody's making money in Louisiana or Michigan, they vacation in Florida. And so they've benefited from this national economy. I do think that this would, if we're voting in 2018 on the economy, then Republicans win. If we're voting on something else like a tweet, maybe not so good. But in Florida, it appears they are voting on the economy. DeSantis is a good guy. He's going to do well as our governor.
What do you make of President Trump's taking on big tech, in particular Google, about their rigging of the news feed and the search? Essentially, roll tape. Let's see exactly what the president's saying. Roll it, please.
Yeah, I think Google is really taking advantage of a lot of people, and I think that's a very serious thing, and it's a very serious charge. I think what Google and what others are doing, if you look at what's going on at Twitter, if you look at what's going on in Facebook, they better be careful because you can't do that to people.
Mr. Senator, do you think they should be reined in, some form of regulation for social networks?
There needs to be at least an evaluation. When you're banning Dennis Prager, who's a very reasonable man, just happens to be conservative, it makes you think there's a world view there which is intolerant of any view which is conservative. So I don't know if it's going to take regulation. It's certainly going to take oversight, but someone like Dennis Prager should not be banned.
I don't think we've ever seen a time when so much power to shape our politics, shape our debate, is handled by just 3 or 4 people, essentially. Zuckerberg, Larry Page, Sergey Brin at Google, and Jack Dorsey at Twitter. Extraordinary power concentrated in just a few hands.
And it goes beyond that. I'm very concerned about what they're doing with privacy, where people are signing over privacy. Click, will you accept this cookie on your browser? And you accept it, not realizing the implications. So there's power both in terms of the ability to shape the debate, but also in the ability to use privacy to a way that most Americans, 99% of Americans, have no clue what they're doing, and those are things that have to be looked at.
I'm part of the 99%, Mr. Senator. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. We always appreciate it. Thank you.